a lot of my life I kind of lived, um, and still to this point, living out narratives that are not my own, and kind of following a path that is, um, whether it's a thought pattern or a belief system. I think there's a lot of living that doesn't originate from oneself and originates from a social structure or an idea, um, that was imposed at some point. And I know I've kind of like dabbled or talked about this at some points, previously, but I want to bring it up because it's been relevant for my development recently. And a lot of what I have been focusing on is analyzing and evaluating information and values on my own accord. So, what that means is not necessarily taking everything that all the information that comes to me and all the information, that kind of shows up in my mind as thoughts as truth. Um, and I think obviously it's not like this black or white situation where, um, I've always believed that my thoughts were true, or I've always believed that what other people told me was true. But there definitely was kind of this underlying narrative for a lot of my life, and it's still something I'm working on, of like people pleasing, or like believing that others know more than me, or like valuing other people's opinions more than my own. And so I've kind of taken a different approach of reflection of values and reflection on, what I believe and what I value, and how I would like to implement change in the world and make a difference in the world. And so it's hard to kind of do something innovative and different and, make change when we're kind of, or at least when I'm kind of like in my shell and trying to follow rules or follow orders or follow what I feel like other people would like me to do. So a lot of the work that I've been doing recently has been like kind of coming out of my shell and deciding to believe in what I believe in, and to disseminate information that I feel like is relevant to the growth of myself, but also the growth of others and the growth of the planet, on a whole. How do we elevate society, as a whole, to a new state of being that is more beneficial? And so that's where a lot of the kind of the narratives of like love and care and affection towards one another is coming from, because those are things that like I truly believe in, and, I think our society needs more of. And so I'm trying to live that out, and I hear a lot of judgment and I hear a lot of blame, a lot of times um, from just people in life, and I get it. Life is hard, and, it's easy to kind of get frustrated by what's happening, in the moment, and not looking beyond that. And sometimes when we're stressed, when I'm stressed, it's easy to kind of get in a state where we're snappy or reactive, and, it can kind of be easy to stay there and blame other people for situations that make us feel, kind of frustrated. So, like, for example, waiting in line at a restaurant when like the line's really slow, or the people working there, are working slowly. And yes, that can be frustrating. Um, However, there may be a reason why those people are working slow. They could be really stressed. They could be, tired of the job. They may not feel like they're respected or validated, or feel seen, and so they may not really feel motivated to work. And that's, I've been there, And so it's kind of easy to like scapegoat people and like get angry with people in that situation. And I think what we need more of is being able to bridge that compassion and bridge that understanding and respect, and try not to assume that like, oh, like they just don't care, which may be true, but there may be more of a story behind that. And I think in our society there's this big kind of culture of canceling, and this culture of like kind of dehumanizing people who are not seen as approved by the majority. So I look at like criminals who are oftentimes cast aside and seen as lesser than, kind of dehumanizing them, or even people who have gone through psychosis. I know there's a lot of dehumanization that can happen there, and say like, oh, well, they're just crazy, It's really easy to dismiss people without like really understanding the story, and not everybody is brought up in the same circumstances. And so while behaviors of people may be unacceptable and dangerous to society or dangerous to people, everybody deserves, I feel like, and I am privileged because like I've never had somebody like attack me or had any like violent crimes against me. And so I may be privileged in that sense, but from my privileged perspective, I guess, I think that even if somebody has committed crimes, they still have value and worth to, as a human being. Just the fact that they exist, they deserve respect. Even if they have hurt people, their story, we may not know why that happened. I don't think everybody's born with a fair, equal, level playing field, and so maybe if we were born in a similar circumstance to them, we could have ended up doing the same thing. And so I don't think it's really fair to judge people for that. It doesn't mean that there's not consequences for that, or figuring out how to make it so that doesn't happen again. But having compassion, and understanding that like, hey, life is really difficult and people deal with it in different ways, and not necessarily viewing them as less human because of the actions they've taken, but trying to be understanding and curious and loving towards them, because they may be acting out in that way because they haven't felt like they were appreciated and loved, and maybe that's wrong, but I don't know. I think if we're viewing other people with disdain and hatred, a lot of religious and spiritual teachings, and I think I don't have any citations to support this, but I think it mostly harms ourselves too, to have that kind of energy and negative connotations towards other people, because that biochemistry shows up in ourselves. Hatred is generally not an emotion that is very healing or allows you to feel openness. Usually it creates tension and stress and holding on. And so it can be just as healing for you to let go and to send love to those people as it can be healing for other people too. And so I think generally most people just want to be treated with respect, but there's so much generational trauma that's been passed down through the generations that like it's sometimes it's hard to sift through and see that light behind all of that hardened, rocked shell of trauma that's been passed down. And I hope that someday we'll be able to kind of soften that shell and see the gooey and sweet parts inside, just like, a ripe coconut or, good avocado or something. And it all starts with just starting to cultivate that sense of compassion and love in our hearts, wherever we are. You're just starting a little bit, even if it's just starting with forgiving yourself or sending love towards the past parts of yourself. Because more and more, the more we're able to send that love and cultivate that muscle and that understanding and that that compassion, the more our world becomes soft and gentle, and the more we're able to see other people's sides and not feel judgmental towards them. For sure we'll get triggered. For sure sometimes we'll fall into feeling emotions of anger and frustration and things like that. And those are just learning opportunities and practice of awareness of being able to recognize, like, hey, I'm feeling this way right now. And what do I need to do to work through this, to sit with this? What is this situation teaching me in this moment? So I think we have immense power to create change and to make a difference in this world, and to radically shift the consciousness of this planet. And honestly, it really starts with each individual. How are we able to bring love? How are we able to bring compassion into our own hearts, into the hearts of our loved ones, into the hearts of our communities, into the hearts of our society and the planet? It starts with one small flame, and it spreads across the planet. How can we do that? I think we can. It'd be pretty cool. Imagine a place full of love. That'd be pretty dope. I'd be down. So, I don't know. Just my thoughts. I think we're in a pretty cool, powerful time on the planet. A lot of change, a lot of radical transformation that's happening across the globe. A globalization of communication, of connection between us. So let's use it to change the world for the better. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Seek your truth, live your truth, open your heart, and share your gentleness, share your love, and share your compassion with one another. I'll see you in my future videos. Bye for now.